So, hello and welcome everyone back to our YouTube channel. Again, this is our Appian Community YouTube channel, and we regularly, every week and every month, right, post different content to help you, our developers, in your developer journey. I'm Kate Bonifaz, and I'm going to be your host yet again in these lovely live streams. And I'm excited today to talk to you about, one of the big parts of the product recently, Process HQ. Okay, I am a product evangelist here at Appian, and yeah, I'm excited to bring on two Appian experts straight from our product team to talk about, again, their passions here. So yeah, welcome on Lisa and Pranav. Why don't we start off with just some basic introductions? I was very light on my introduction. I just gave my name and like my title, but they've heard from me a lot. So, you guys are the interesting people this time. So why don't you go over your title, maybe like your background in Appian, anything you really feel is pertinent here. So I'll start with you, Lisa.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lisa. I am a product manager alongside Pranav here. I've been at Appian. It'll be 3 years in May. Feels like yesterday. I've loved my time at Appian. And most of that time I've spent working on the product we're going to talk to you about today. So I'm very excited about that.
And Pranav, over to you.
Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Pranav. I'm also a product manager along with Lisa. I've been at Appian for roughly 4.5 years. And over the last about year or two, I've been working primarily on Process HQ. So really excited to talk about some of the features today. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. So I did skip over one part of like mentioning the different parts of this live stream, but really our goal today for you is to learn as a developer, right, what Process HQ can do for you, how you can help your business with Process HQ. Just lots of different little topics, that's really curated for you, our passionate developer community. So as always, I'm going to be annoying throughout the live stream and say, hey, put your comments into the chat. But I'm going to start us off nice and easy. I have like two brainstorming questions to get us into the mood, okay? So first, I'll ask the question, has your business ever asked you for more visibility into how like the business process is running? Have they ever wanted you to improve their processes? If you have a story like that, we'd love to hear it in the chat. So go ahead and type away into the chat. And maybe that's like, you don't want to brainstorm too much and you're too busy listening to us. Let's start then. If you've at least started exploring Process HQ, give me like a thumbs up or some type of emoji in the chat, and I don't know, maybe who you are, where you're from. Give us something, right? We want to, hear and see you guys. And again, throughout the live stream, if you have any questions, our experts are here to answer your questions. So please, please, please put them into the chat. I just saw some activity. Someone give a thumbs up. I love it. All right, keep it up. So for our first topic then. Ooh, Lisa had
Did you see me?
Nice. We're going to start with the basics, right? So a reminder for you, our audience. What is Process HQ? And again, why should our Appian developers care about its capabilities?
All right. I think I will take that one, Kate, if you don't mind. So I'm glad that some of you have already started exploring Process HQ. It is an area for you and your end users to get a really good grasp of the data that's in Appian, as well as the data movement that's happening in your business. And that's how I kind of break it down is there's data, but there's also a lot of data that moves through Appian, through your business, that it's alive and changing every day. And Process HQ allows you to harness that data and the movement and offer a window into that for end users who can analyze not only, again, the data, but also dive really deep into a business process to see what's going on there. So the impact of that is that you have the opportunity to optimize your business. Your end users have the ability to optimize their business. More importantly, they can do it on their own. So what's really your value here today? Like, why do you want to listen in on this end user tool that provides them a whole bunch of value? Well, there's a role in it for you, and it's actually twofold. First, what you're doing when you're setting up Appian, when you're building an application, when you're constructing your data fabric. All of that acts as the foundation for what's going to surface in Process HQ. So whether you know it or not, you're actually already participating in Process HQ by doing those things that you do today. The benefit to you is that you potentially could be saving yourself a lot of time in the future, especially when it comes to building reports and dashboards. Or maybe an application that you're being asked to build has to actually deal with business processes or analysis. Now, once after today, our goal is not only for you to understand how the things you're doing today surface in Process HQ, but also so that you have an understanding of what Process HQ can do for end users, so you can start to step away from spending a lot of time in those areas.
Hey, you've said some things that I love already, especially the saving time bit. Like, as a mom of one and soon to be a mom of two, like, I need all the time I can get. So I understand that. I have another shout out to the community out there. I want to hear again from you guys. Lisa's talking about setting up data and all the things that are like surrounding Pros HQ. But I would love this is my developer brain, right? Like connecting it. How many times did you say that you've deployed a report within a week or month, and then the requirements for that report change? So again, how many times would you say a week or month? I'd like just a little touch point here, before we really, kind of get back into things.
Maybe we could show my screen while we're waiting for those comments to come in. This is an example of a dashboard within Process HQ. So you can see different mechanisms of measurement happening here. There's reporting on the data itself, the actual data. You can see some instances here where a business process has violated a specific SLA that an end user defined. You can also see trend analysis happening, as well as detailed data. And one thing I'll just throw out there right now, because again, I think it'll be intriguing for you, is that you can also take action from these reports, whether it's jumping into one of your summary pages in an application or accessing one of your record types or related record actions, your record actions. That can show here as well. It's not showing on this example, but that can be added here. So again, a lot of what you're already doing on these record types has the ability to surface here to help end users really take control of what they want to see and do. This is the marriage of data and process that you're seeing right here. It's really a great recipe. And towards the end of the second half of this conversation, Pranav and I are going to show you more of this front-end experience and how we actually got to this point and what lies beneath.
Yeah, no, that'll be really great. And we do have a question, but before I actually ask a question, I just want to give my thoughts and insights here, right? So, Pros HQ was released we really came out with it in Appian World last year, and we're about to approach on Appian World again this year. So I'm bamboozled, blown away by how much has come out of it. And I know as a developer, at first I was like, whoa, look at this big tool. And I did kind of wonder, okay, what can it do for me? And that's why we're here and why we're talking about it. But it's actually really cool. And I love that, it's actionable and you can empower so many different users, which I know we'll talk about during this. But yeah, just my 2 cents. The question we have is from Matt from Minneapolis. How can Pros HQ help with transitioning from legacy systems to newer SaaS sources of data? This is a 3-year transition, he says.
Pros HQ. I'm not sure. Can you restate that again? I can't even see.
Yeah, no, I'll reread it. And okay, he says the question is basically, in digital transformation scenarios where data and process may coexist, how will Pros HQ assist?
Well, I think it's very similar to how Appian assists you today, right? Appian can connect to multiple systems in your ecosystem and present that data and offer action and different applications to be built upon it. But so it's very much the benefit of the Appian platform as a whole. When we talk about disparate systems of different ages, you can really leverage the ability to integrate to those source systems, bring it all together. Then Process HQ sits on top of, again, your already built record types, and provides, again, just more end user control and visibility into what you've done.
Yeah. Yeah. As Lisa was mentioning, you can really leverage Data Fabric to connect to external systems. And that would be one way to bring some of that data in. And then anything that you have within synced record types in Data Fabric is available to you in Process HQ for analysis.
Great question. We were going to kind of talk about that later anyway, but yeah, no, definitely hitting home on, that Data Fabric connection and yeah, how we access data. So hopefully that answered your question, Matt. If not, feel free to follow up there. I'll follow up with my own, kind of more basic question, again, trying to set us up here. Is there anything I need to know about licensing or installation type?
Yeah, I can take that one. So Process HQ is available on advanced and premier tiers. So that's really the main thing to keep in mind. That being said, everyone can play around with the features on ACE or Appian Community Edition. So I'd encourage that.
Cool. Yeah, and my job here, right, is yes, everyone go to ACE, right? Especially our shared workspaces and whatnot. But to reiterate that, right, if maybe you don't have access to Process HQ, you're wrong because you do on Appian Community Edition. So definitely check it out, play with it. I think I'm one of those people that I do best learning when I can get hands-on, and 100% with Process HQ, yeah, when you have data set up, you can go in, make those cool charts and reports and take actions. It really, we do a decent job, I think, with our quarterly webinars and our everything surrounding that with education on our releases. But definitely getting your hands on the product in Appian Community Edition, I think, is super beneficial. Oh, and we have a comment. I'm just going to mention it because I want to. Robin says, I've used Process HQ on ACE. Looking really nice. Or really nice looking. Thank you. Yes, we appreciate that. Cool. Okay. Why don't we show them how to get started? I think that, the most pertinent, right?
That's a great idea. All right. So we're going to take a look at my screen for a second, and you can see my face just lit up as I did that. All right. So this should be familiar territory to everybody. It is our record type designer, where you can see a lot of the parts and pieces of our record type set up. Again, as I mentioned, a lot of what you see here is going to surface in Process HQ. So I just want to touch on those things so you're aware. And if you haven't maybe revisited these things or visited these things recently, you can go and take a look back. First and foremost, your plural name of your record type, it will show in the data catalog in Process HQ. It's one of the starting points for building a process or building a report. That shows. Your field display names also show. So again, want to take a special look there to make sure that your field names are articulated properly for an end user purpose here. A lot of times what will happen is if one is not set, we're just going to take the name that you did specify and make it look a little nicer in terms of formatting.
I want to plug in for that too. Not to pause you again. One of my background before my current role was as a technical instructor, and one of the things that I always try to convince my learners is make sure to have good names, have good descriptions. Well, let me tell you all right now, it is becoming super important that we really, really do in many different places in the product. So. Good advice, Lisa.
Thank you. And you mentioned description, and I forgot, so I will bring it back up. Description does help. It helps with, it will show in different areas of Process HQ, but it's also used for AI, which we'll talk about a little later too. So the more information you can provide there, the more AI will, benefit from that. Okay. Also, the relationship names show. So again, probably not something you've paid much attention to in terms of naming, but it does give users the context for which a related record is being used. So oftentimes we reuse record types, but the relationship to another record really determines how you're using it in a certain context. So important there. And then this relationship diagram is really important. It actually shows to a specific role in Process HQ, the data governor. We'll get to that in a little bit. But also it's a good reminder that for right now, Process HQ really focuses on one-to-one and many-to-one relationships. So when you're looking at this model, you want to kind of think about the ability to report through those relationships first and foremost. Because again, your role is still like you still want to understand the reporting needs of your end users when you're building record types. Like it's still going to be important, even though end users are now getting that ability to build reports their own. You still kind of need to know that here and think through it in terms of the impact of your model so that you can enable the right outcomes in the front end.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anything else, Kate? Did you want to? I'll keep going.
No, I mean, the next thing, you're about to go into like event data setup, right? Because
I was going to give a shout out to our data fabric in such that like the source systems, the source types are also shown just to give some context to some of our users, so they can say, oh, this is my, Salesforce thing, or this is my Appian database thing. They will have that context as well.
Yeah, that ties back to kind of, I think, what Matt was talking about earlier. And I know you're about to talk about event data setup, but I know like as a developer, especially when, some of the newer things are coming out with, record events and all of the like subsequent record types that kind of go along with that, it became super clear for me as I guess a fresher developer that like, oh yeah, like that gets set up really nice with all the audit data. But again, to your point of what you just said, and to Matt's point, you can connect to all sorts of data and have Process HQ like sitting on top of it, right? That it makes it just accessible and again giving you those insights. So anyway, back to you, Lisa.
You got it. It's like we don't even need to be here, Pranav. We can just give it to Kate. She's like so good with this.
I don't know about that.
All right. So, and then I think I probably glazed over this, but like synced records, they're your friend. If you haven't started evolving to synced records, you should, because all of this really, there's so much power with synced records in terms of capabilities, but also Process HQ capabilities. So again, probably an area to think about if you haven't upgraded some of your older record types. I also want to show some events. Right? And then, because events are really key when we think about process data and data movement. So Pranav, did you want to maybe give this a little love?
Yeah. So almost all of your applications that you guys are developing are going to have some type of auditing need. Most of the time, you want to see that in the front end when you're looking at a record specifically to, see what are all the different steps or actions that have been taken on that record within a view. And so we make it really easy to actually go ahead and configure record events. There's a generate record events button that pops up here, and we automatically make record types for you, configure record relationships, and basically set you up so that you have your auditing ready to go. And the reason that we really want to stress how important that is in this conversation is because when you go to Process HQ and specifically Process Insights to actually add a process and define what a process looks like for analysis, it's very easy to take advantage of the case record type and the event record types that have already been pre-configured. And so you get this seamless flow where you just, as a developer, create this data model and then leverage that within Process HQ for analysis.
Love that. I'm going to put something in the chat. I know we mentioned it earlier, but I realized we didn't actually put a link to it. It's just to my learning journey page. Again, if my shameless plug for Appian Community Edition. I was like reflecting, like, I don't think we actually put something there. So if you're not familiar with Appian Community Edition, go to my learning journey and sign up. Sorry. I get interrupting things. I'm ruining your flow. I'm sorry.
It is one mechanism on this page, or there is one mechanism on this page. You see right here, Data Fabric Insights. This has to do with Process HQ. See that there? This is one mechanism to enable a record type to show in Process HQ. So not every record type has to show. You are one of the roles that has a part in that, in determining that. When we talk more about the data governor role, again, they can also determine that. And it might not be the same as you, like they can override your setting, but their role, they're a partner with you in terms of enabling the experience and process HQ. So really important here, just in terms of if you don't yet have a data governor identified and you want to just do it here, this is where you would check that box. Again, this would be dependent on the deployment, whereas the one sitting in Process HQ production is not. You can turn things on and off at any point.
I love an easy checkbox, and sometimes, okay, we forget that the easy checkboxes exist, but this is really great.
Yeah, and most people like the lack of deployment to configure certain things in Process HQ.
Right.
So we're starting to beef up those capabilities over time. All right. I think so. I went over that really quick. If I forgot anything, Pranav, Kate, let me know. But I do want to make a quick plug for Appian Docs, because in Appian Docs, there's a whole section dedicated to setup. There's some courses here. So give that a read if you want. It complements a lot of what I said. If you're just more of a reader than a listener, that's the place for you.
And I was a teacher. I taught physics before I came to Appian, by the way. Like, I was a high school physics teacher, funny enough. But yeah, I definitely love to plug in different types of learning, hands-on, reading, videos, docs, links to it all. So yeah, go check out that doc if you haven't already. We do have another question that just popped into the chat. So let me get that on screen and read it from Jordan. What scenarios would you not want the data fabric insights checked off?
So if there's in your data model, if you've set up a record type that's purely for, I don't know, just like development purposes or back end needs, and the information in there doesn't really provide reporting value, you could hide that record type. If you know this record type, for example, holds a lot of PII and your organization is like concerned about that, you can just turn off the record type. Now, what I forgot to mention, and I'll use the time now, any record level security that you set up, column level security, record level security that you set up in that record type is honored through our reporting capabilities in Process HQ. So nothing's going to sneak through in that fashion. But again, if your organization is purely like, hey, we just don't want to expose this type of data, then turn it off. That would be a good reason.
I had to mute myself for a second. The Amazon truck outside has that awful squawking sound when it backs up. So, no, Prab, I don't know if you had any other examples that you have thought of, but if not, then I could. Oh, you do?
Yeah, I could only think of one other thing, which was that, sometimes over time on your environments, you can have a lot of different record types. And so when an end user actually goes in to like play around with the data, explore things, you don't want to necessarily expose them to everything, but just because it can be an overwhelming volume of record types to look at. So it's also just a way to curate and organize things there.
No, that's a really good point. I love that. Cool. Okay, so far we've gotten like a touch on like how to set things up as a developer for Process HQ. We've seen the little touch points, especially in the record types, to set us up for success. But again, you've highlighted some roles, and you touched a little bit on the data governance, like you've mentioned a couple times. Can you give some more insight into the data governor role?
Sure. Yeah. So as Lisa mentioned, all of the object security that you have set up, whether that's record level security or column level security, whatever it is, we respect that through Process HQ. However, there will be times where maybe you forgot to hit that checkbox, but then you later realize you actually want to make that record type available for a report or dashboard, or there was a certain relationship that you want to make available, or vice versa. You actually want to hide something that was previously there. There are going to be times when you want to change that security, either for data fabric insights or make something available for process insights. And if you use the record type object to do that, that is one way, but it is a little cumbersome in that you have to make a change to the object and then deploy that up to production. And so it can be a bit slower and inefficient, especially if you have an analyst who really just wants to get in there and play with their data. And so what we've done is build this beautiful page here that I'm sharing on my screen called Data Governance. And effectively, it allows you to, one, view a lot of different information about the synced record types on your environment, but two, it allows you to manage some of that security. So a data governor is you can kind of think of them as like the admin in Process HQ who's managing what data goes where, who gets access to what. And so they're going to manage that through the data governance page. The first question, though, is how do you actually assign a data governor? And I'll flip tabs here, and you'll see that it is done through your traditional group management, where we have a system group called data governors, and you can basically select which users you want to manage this access. So once you become a data governor, you get access to the data governance page, and you can manage a bunch of things. So I'll start with data steward access. So Process Insights relies on data stewardship, which means that data stewards effectively control the process definition, which primarily includes the case record type and the events record type, along with different relationships you might have. And so if you realize, hey, I actually want to give someone access to these record types in production, all you have to do is check off the record types you're interested in. In this case, I'll click, manage data stewards, and I decided, you know what, I want to give Caroline access to actually create this process with these record types. I can easily do that here. Nothing was needed on the record type, no deployment. And these changes do not actually change anything about the underlying record type object. So you can feel safe that everything that's being done in production is isolated and not affecting anything. Similarly, you might want to make a record type available in the data catalog. And you'll see in the leftmost or the right-handmost column here that these toggles are off right now. One way to do it would be just check it off and flip the toggle, and now all of a sudden this record type will be available for analysts to make reports and dashboards. But you can also do it in bulk. So you can come here, check this off, show in data catalog, and that'll flip the toggles there for you. So yeah, that's primarily it.
No, that was really good. I know that in the past couple releases, we've showed a lot of what you guys just showed in pieces, but I think it's really nice you have a more comprehensive overview of again how it connects to what our developers are setting up and having touch points with. So I guess the last missing piece, and I don't see any more questions in the chat, but if you have questions, put them in the chat. Could we see any demos of what we've enabled so far?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. All right. I'll start with some of the reporting capabilities. Remember, reporting is really just going to help you look at the data aspects, whether it's that event data that we talked about, but it's really all part of the record type data. So here I'm on the Process HQ homepage, which shows your reports, saved reports and dashboards here. But first, let me just jump over to the data catalog really quick. This is how record types show in Process HQ. So only those users who are entitled to build reports can see this page. Otherwise, again, if you're just a viewer, you don't get this whole area. But this allows you to not only see the data, see some relationships that the data has with it. It also is the starting point for creating a new report. But let's go back to our homepage for a sec. All right. And then if I open up, let's just look at a report that some other, actually, let's see, is it this one? Here we go. I showed you this grid before on the dashboard, but I'm just going to use this to show you some of the lay of the land. The record types that you're building, the field names, are all showing and available in this left-hand pane. So in this case, I've selected a record type that I want to report on. And again, I'm seeing fields and related records of data that I can report on. In this case, I've selected a few fields. They're showing in a grid format, but on the right-hand side here, I have a lot of different other options for visualization. The reason I'm going to stay here on this grid is because when you're showing just a grid of data, you get that ability to link to the summary view that you've built in an application and a site so that you can show more details about this.
That's cool.
One particular row. You can also enable actions. So these are the record type actions that are a part of the record type that's being used here. In this case, I have a new onboarding case at the top, which is going to add a net new row, but you can also select an existing one and get some additional record actions that have been configured. These are all choices that the report creator is able to make on their own. It sits on the right-hand side where everything is configured and configurable. In addition, I mentioned briefly AI Copilot. We have AI Copilot in several places in Process HQ. This is one of them. In this edit mode, you as a report creator or a report creator can get a little sneak peek of what AI is going to offer around this data. AI is only going to use the data that you've selected for this report. It doesn't go and look through the whole entire relationship of information or any information that's out there. It's just purely looking at the data that this report creator has given it, which is really nice. And then just to kind of show, once a report is saved, someone can share it with other people, other individuals, give them viewer rights or editor rights. They could share it with everybody, or just keep it private to themselves and answer their own questions that they have. So that's really nice. And then lastly, over here, this is the ability to view a report. And you can see on this one, quick filters are at the top. So I think we refer to these as user filters in the platform, but these are quick filters for Process HQ users. So again, you can build a report, have it serve multiple audiences, multiple purposes, just one report by putting some quick filters at the top. Really nice. And then anything you're building can be thrown on a dashboard, which is great. But this is only one piece of the pie. As we said, it's about data, but data movement, process data. So Pranav, maybe you want to show a little bit of how we can dive deep into process analysis.
But before that, I have a question.
Oh, okay.
I know you were so excited.
Sorry.
Matt is our best friend in this live stream with such great questions.
Aww,
and again, I love best practice questions. So let's throw that up on the screen. Yeah. Best practices for naming and governance of a large volume of services. Can they be tagged or grouped?
Large volume of services.
And it seems like a tricky question to me because I'm not, like a Process HQ super expert, but.
Matt, any additional hints you want to give us?
And if you guys want more time to mull it over, we can always respond to him after the fact.
So I think maybe you're getting to do you have one field that has a lot of services in it as value options and you're looking to roll them up?
Maybe some more context.
Anyway.
So Pranav, why don't we go to you and then he'll give more context and we'll come back to the question.
Sure. Sounds good. Yeah. So here we are on my screen looking at a single process. So I've clicked into a process. This is the landing page. But before I get into some of the details here that are more relevant for the analyst, what I thought would be interesting would be to show you guys the actual process definition. And the reason I want to show you this is because, as a developer, you already are working with the data model and you're doing interesting things on the record types, like adding filters or, creating a custom record field, right? And oftentimes when you actually make a process and you're tweaking some of this case and event data, you might need to do some more data prep just to refine what you're looking at. So you might need to add another filter. Maybe you need to create a custom attribute, deselect some fields because they have private information. And what I wanted to show you here was that you can do that right within the process definition within production. So you don't have to do anything on the record type and deploy it again. Everything's available nice and easy for you here. So you can filter your data. I don't have any filters, but you can easily add things. And you can also add custom attributes. So this works very similar to custom record fields in that it's this nice, clean, no-code experience. But again, it's all within Process HQ. So I'll click out of this for now and just show you some high-level functionality of Process HQ, or specifically a process. Scrolling down here, I think this is my favorite part, most interesting looking part, which is the process diagram. And it's the first time you can really visualize how your business process is actually flowing. So I talked a little bit about record events and all of that audit data you're collecting. Now you can visualize what does that look like? What are the paths that are actually taking place? And what's cool here is that we have this gradient that shows you what's running slow. So this sequence here is running slowly and you can see the volume of cases that are running. If you want to investigate that further, you can click on it and look into more details as well. Scrolling back up, you'll notice the section called pinned views. Views are essentially a way to bucket your data. So in this case, for customer onboarding, maybe I know that non-US countries have different compliance standards and therefore they follow a slightly different workflow, right? In that case, maybe it makes sense to analyze those cases differently. Or maybe I just want to look at approved cases. But views are a really powerful tool to actually intuitively organize my information as an analyst. And within a view, you can have several different KPIs. You'll notice that these first three are common across all of the views here. And that's because we make them for you. We think they're going to be useful. Basic duration information, things about your automation rate, so you can look at more ways to enhance and implement automation. But you can also create more KPIs. You can, for example, count the number of cases that have this particular step because maybe you have a suspicion about it. You can make different aggregations. You can measure durations for different parts of your process, right? There's a lot of useful stuff you can do here for analysis. And what's really cool is that you can take a look at one of these KPIs, for example, average case duration, and click into it. And if you want to start looking at ways to actually improve that KPI and maybe decrease the actual time it's taking, you can start drilling down and investigate the different ways to improve that process. You can look at the characteristics, be like, maybe cases in Spain could use some work. And it's a really powerful tool. So I'll just pause there and or stop there because that's a pretty comprehensive high-level overview.
I think it's really good, I mean, especially since, it gives, again, that highlighting of like what our developers are enabling, but also potentially like this is an iterative process. The whole purpose of this is to find good points to work on our processes. And so obviously our developers are part of that process. So yeah, and I'm with you. I love that diagram so much. Like I think the colors and like the fact that you can like zoom in, zoom out, click here, click that. It's really intuitive in my opinion. So yeah, Matt hasn't given any more context on his question yet. So I want to go to something like kind of maybe similar. It's not a best practice, but performance actually, because I know that is near and dear to all of our developer hearts. So how could Process HQ impact performance elsewhere in Appian? Should our users be worried at all?
No, definitely not. No need to be worried. We always want to ensure our users have a great and performance system at the end of the day. So one of the things, again, that we inherit here as part of leveraging our Appian data fabric is all of the performance optimizations that come along with it. So nothing new or different there because Process HQ is using the same record queries that we use for applications. So all of that is great. We did, however, just to provide a little bit of a peace of mind, put some back-end controls on as well to make sure that Process HQ can never at any one time take up all the resources. I think we have it configured at like a 50% right now, but it's something that we have easy ability to change if we ever see that there's an issue. But so far, so good. And we continue to always keep an eye on performance and make sure it's behaving as it should for you all.
Definitely. And I think this is a good time too, just to call out, like, we appreciate your feedback too, right? And once you get your hands on Process HQ, if you see something that, you want improved, or maybe you did see a performance issue, that's a great time to reach out and let us know. We'll let our PMs know so that they're very aware of things that we can improve. Okay, Matt just gave more context. So I'm going to reread the original question, and then I'm going to read what he said as follow-up. So again, the original question was best practices for naming and governance of a large volume of services. Can they be tagged or grouped? And then the first follow-up is, as the number of data sources grow, customer_name, for example, will be in nearly every source. So and this is the third response, depending on the line of business a business or dev user is in, how is the context of using the correct customer maintained for that user or scenario?
All right, so I think I understand, and I'll give an answer. And Pranav, if you have a different take, feel free to add on. But I think the good thing about us showing the customer name and context to the record type and its relationship to the base record gives users the understanding that this customer name is a part of this record type, essentially, and this source, right? We have those source icons in there to help as well. I think additionally, those display names, right, in the record type designer, if they're all currently named customer name, maybe you want to say source customer name, or provide a little bit more detail in the field display name and or description to help users as well.
I think, yeah, to kind of ping off, I'm no, prosecutor expert, but in terms of naming, best practice and conventions, especially in that description, right? Like, because maybe they don't want to change the source name, or maybe they can't change the source name, but definitely like adding that context into the description field, I think, is definitely a good way to address that.
Yeah.
Pranav, what about you?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like naming conventions are very important, and everything Lisa talked about, now you're mentioning as well, Kate, about getting those display names and descriptions correct, I think are going to help.
Awesome. Great. Hopefully that answered your question, Matt. If not, again, feel free to ping us back. We are nearing kind of the end of our content for today. So again, if you have any questions that you want to ask, please, please, please put them in the chat. And if we get to it before I give my ending spiel, great. If not, we will get back to you very quickly. But let's talk like what else should our developers be looking forward to? Like what's the next thing? Obviously, Appian World's coming up. Maybe you can give a little plug into that. But yeah, what do we have to look forward to next?
All right. So 2 things I'll add at the end here. One, as you wrap your head around, your role and how Process HQ can benefit your organization, just keep in mind, right? When we say process and data can be applied to any industry, any topic. It can be applied to external processes, such as, sales, leads, interacting with customers, but it can also help with internal operations. We're starting to use it here at Appian for that purpose as well. So the application is really generic and it can be applied in a lot of different contexts. So keep your ear for that. In terms of the roadmap, I mean, the good news, I don't want to spoil too much for AW stuff. So Appian World 25. So I will say that we have a number of teams that will be continuing to invest in just Process HQ throughout this year into the future. We all have a very full workload across all areas that we just talked about, essentially. And there's a lot more that you can look forward to.
I love that. We got like a laughing emoji react in the chat too. I don't know to what exactly you said, but yeah, no, that's great. I'll also put a shameless plug in for Appian World, right? If you got, and I guess it's part of the announcements, but I'll let you guys, wrap up whatever else you wanted to cover. I don't know, Pranav or Elise, if you had anything else that devs should look forward to. But we have DevCon coming up in Appian World, and I am so excited to see and talk to all of you. I may be large and in charge at that point. Again, I'll be very pregnant, but I'm very excited to chat with developers and get your feedback and whatnot. And what's great about this programming this year is that DevCon is its like own big thing. Like last year we had a day dedicated to, developers, but now we have content, spread throughout the week. It's going to be so exciting. And I know our Process HQ people are going to be there. So if you have more questions for them, you get to talk to them face to face, ask all of your questions. Maybe you're a little shy during a live stream, but at Appian World, you can go right up to them and be like, hey, I know you, answer my questions, right? You can also do that to me, but I may not know the answers to your questions. But I know people I can connect you to. Yeah, okay. So that's my shameless plug for DevCon. I'll also give some announcements at the end. But Lisa, Pranav, anything else you wanted to kind of talk about or sneak peek? Anything?
No, I think we covered it all.
Great. Okay, then I'm going to give a big thank you to our guests first. Again, thank you all for being so awesome in your reactions, in your questions, in your comments. Again, if you have any questions, our experts are here and we can, again, respond after the fact. But, like this video, this live stream, if you enjoy this content, if you have ideas for future live streams, we would love to hear that. So, you can put that in the comments here. You can ping me, add me on LinkedIn, email me, whatever. I love to hear all of your ideas. The next live stream, believe it or not, is going to be the live build challenge live stream. Okay. I'm cooking up a bunch of stuff for the live build challenge, and I'm so excited for you all to witness or compete. Maybe you're one of the competitors. Um, yeah, and that's coming up in April next month. Okay. Besides that, and we can switch to some of the announcements now. Yeah, we have our UX design lab coming up. Again, another one. You guys seem to really be enjoying this. That is coming up on May 8th. And so submissions open today for it. And it is going to be focused on grids. Again, go to our community to find out more details on these submissions, but they are due April 30th. That's like right at Appian World time. So plan accordingly. Like, you could be on your laptop at Appian World, like, like cooking up your interface and submitting it, but probably a good idea to do it ahead of time. So yeah, please submit to that. We love seeing your submissions. I love seeing them all. I know I don't host that one, but I do like to see everything that you guys do as devs. So great. Yeah. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell. But the last people I want to thank are Lisa and Pranav. You guys were fantastic, and you are so knowledgeable across HQ and the product in general. So yeah, no, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you for having us here.
Yeah.
Awesome. With that is everything we have for you today. There's no more questions. So, okay, thank you. Good stuff. Awesome. Great. Have a great day, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Cool.
Bye.
See ya.